You have 100 elementary school students who started school, right? 100 students who started elementary school. Then you look right underneath it, it's 44 who graduated from high school. And then to the left, 56 who technically dropped out. And 9 of them went to a 4-year school. But we're really interested in, again, this pipeline because we're trying to figure out what is it at every level that's impacting whether people either leave school or stay in school. And so, out of the 26 that enrolled in college, only 7 of them graduated with a bachelor's degree. So 26 of them had goals, right? And the myth is that they didn't want it. That's why they didn't continue, right? And so we know that if they enrolled in college and they wanted it, they had these aspirations, and then less than 1% graduates with a doctoral degree, right? So if you have a Chicana, Chicano, Latino, Latina, Ph.D. professor, that's what I am, I'm a Ph.D., then that person is less than 1%. And again, most people would tell you, well, see, Anita made it, she's this person from a poor family. I grew up poor, working class. My mom was single. My dad died when I was 8. My father was an alcoholic. My mom left school to get married, got her GED later on after my dad died. Everything would tell you that I wasn't meant to be here, right? I wasn't meant to be the 56 even. So when I was a sophomore in high school, I went to Harlandale High School, which is on the south side of San Antonio, if you've ever been to San Antonio. It is probably the 2nd poorest school district. I think they closed the poorest school district. Edgewood, right, it used to be the poorest. I didn't know that when I was there. I just went to school there. But I did know that very few people went to college. But Henry Cisneros, who was the first mayor of, Latino Hispanic mayor of San Antonio, went to my sister's elementary school, and he talked to the parents, and he told them that, that their children deserve to go to college. And I always remember that my mom said one of the reasons that she really believed that I could do it was because Henry Cisneros said that we could do it, right? And someone had to tell my mom that, so that my mom could also tell me. And she wanted it for me, but she didn't know how to do it for me. Revillas says to us one day, out of this class, half of you will drop out. And so, he actually said this half. And everybody on that side was like, damn. Then he said, out of this half, that half might go to college. And we're like, yeah. And then he said, if I'm lucky, one of you will get a Ph.D. And I didn't know what a Ph.D. was. No one in my family had gone to college. Many of my teachers only had master's degrees at the most. And so I said, I don't know what that Ph.D. is, but if only one of us is getting it, and I want it, right? And I'm sure everybody, there was lots of people in the classroom who were like, Arevalo, what's he talking about? Or, well, if only one's getting it, why even bother, right? And that's what I referred to as yesterday as this, it could be a spirit murder moment, right? It could be a moment in which your aspirations were murdered. Because you said, I can't be that 1%. I'm not the smartest kid in the classroom. I don't always do my homework. I don't always have time. I'm busy taking care of my brother and sister. I don't have a place to study. I don't have all of these resources that I need, right? And so sometimes those statistics can really destroy you. But sometimes those statistics can be an inspiration. And so in fact, it's shown that lots of Latina and Latino students who make it through the system, and students of color in general, it's because they're trying to prove somebody wrong. But it's interesting how we have to prove somebody wrong, but when privileged students go to school, all they have to do is follow suit, do what they were expected to do, right? So I started school with a 9th grade class of 420 people. I graduated high school with a class of about 210 people. That's my story, right? My mom is my source of inspiration, right? She is the one who had the dream, and I followed through. But my sister wasn't able to make it through. She went to, to college, but, she is a mentally ill person. She is bipolar. That has created a problem. We don't have the health care to take care of her. We don't have the support in the school system to work with depressed children, right? My brother is dyslexic. This was never diagnosed. We didn't have the resources in our schools to recognize dyslexia and other learning disabilities, right? I think my family is a good case study of dispelling lots of myths about whose fault is it, right? There are lots of actors, the individual, the parents, the community, the teachers, the school, the legislature that leads to the school funding, the government that leads to, state decisions about school policies. So, I think we live in a really important time where we actually have a president who's interested in funding education. But I think when you think about this pipeline, it's important for you to think about, one, what side are you on? Two, who are the people that have leaked out of the pipeline? And three, if you want to make it somewhere on this pipeline, who do you have to talk to? Who do you have to work with in order to get through? There are people who can help you through this pipeline. The intercultural services is an example of helping people through this pipeline. Women's studies gets people through this pipeline because, again, the institution doesn't speak to everyone. It doesn't represent everyone. I went to Princeton. From my poor little neighborhood experience, I experienced all of those things, and I was in every extracurricular event that I could do. Like, it was funny because people were like, "Well, how did you figure it out?" And I said, "Well, everything that people told me. If a teacher said, college is really like when you join extracurricular activities." I said, "Okay, well, I'm joining 5 of them." And someone said to me, they're giving scholarships to women and people of color who become engineers. Okay, well, I'll become an engineer. And again, I didn't know what that looked like, but I did every summer program in engineering. I did every summer program in the medical field that I could find, and I really wasn't interested in those areas of study. Coming from a working class home, my reason to go to college was to take care of my family, to make money for my family, because we didn't have it. And that is, a middle class person doesn't have to go to college for that reason. They go to college for themselves, to do something that they enjoy. And so when I realized that, I said, wow, these classmates that I have are going to school because they want to, some of them because their parents forced them to, but they're going to school to study what they want to study. What a luxury. I'm taking economics because it might make some money to take care of my family, right? So I tried to do an econ major to make some money. I thought I would work on Wall Street, which would have been easy, because lots of Princeton folks, whether they're econ majors or not, instantly get jobs on Wall Street. Maybe some of them have lost jobs now. And so it's important to recognize that I don't value my Princeton experience because, I think I'm smarter and because I think I deserved it more than anybody else, but because I was one of those people who wasn't expected to be there, and I actually was allowed. I was allowed by them to have some access to it, right? And it has opened doors for me. So it's really weird. I have a real weird relationship with that Princeton experience. People love it, right? All kinds of people. Oh, you must be so smart. I'm like, yeah, but so is my sister, right? So is my mother. But you don't tell her that she's really smart. We need to blow up these ideas of education and who has a right to it, what you have a right to, and what it means to some people who haven't made it through this process.